What's going on, everybody? My name is Joey Thomas, entrepreneur and small business educator with 17 hats. Today we talk about the imposter syndrome. What is it? Why does it matter? And should we even be aware of it? All right, so let's start with a recent study done by Kajabi. Kajabi is a knowledge commerce platform, and they have released a first of its kind study on the impact of imposter syndrome on entrepreneurs and small business owners. All right, so over 600 entrepreneurs and small business owners were actually polled on their experiences on this so-called imposter syndrome. We're going to define this in a minute, but they were polled on it just to get a better understanding of what their thoughts were and just how did it really impact. So here are a few key findings before we jump into what it is and what to even do about it. So Kajabi found that 84% of entrepreneurs and small business owners actually experience what they believe to be imposter syndrome. Now, a greater percentage of male entrepreneurs experienced it a little bit more intense than women did, right? And many of them were worried about this concept, this feeling of being found out for the lack of knowledge or ability. And a good portion, according to this study, a good portion of those entrepreneurs felt like their success was just because of luck, right? So let's start here by defining what imposter syndrome really is. So by definition, imposter syndrome is the feeling of being a complete fraud in your field. Now, there's a feeling that all achievements are just by luck and not really by hard work or trial and error. And worse, you might even feel like you don't deserve anything that you're achieved. Now, does any of these thoughts sound familiar? I'm not good enough. I'm not fooling anyone. Who do I think I really am? And I can't possibly pull this off. Or I have no idea what I'm doing in this business. Or here's one that's very common. You know what? They're going to find me out. They're going to discover that I'm just a phony and I really don't know what I'm talking about. So this feeling of being an imposter usually pops up when you start putting yourself out there as an authority in your field, or when you say you can do something that you really haven't done enough of to feel super confident about. So this is when these feelings come in. Now, first of all, guys, I just want everyone listening to know that this feeling is very, very common and you are not alone. It is absolutely human to want to do your best, to be authentic, to deliver on your promises. There is no equation in this world that gives you expert status, right? It is highly likely, though, that you know more than you think you do. More than the average person or more than someone who's just starting out on day one. I mean, can we agree on that much? Well, I believe you have something to share or something to give the world that's uniquely yours. Now, it is hard to put yourself in front of others and to be an expert in the area. I mean, at what point are you ever really even qualified? Right? The real question we can ask ourselves is, do I have something to offer the world? Now, I have to ask myself this all the time. Do I have something to offer the world? So if this feeling of being an imposter, this feeling of being underqualified or being found out, if you can connect with this, hang out with us for a few minutes. Let's talk about a few ways that we can manage this feeling of being an imposter while we grow and while our confidence grows, okay? So number one, first of all, we have to understand what it is. In order for us to even combat it, we need to understand what imposter syndrome is and accept that it is a feeling that is common, and this is just stretching us. This moment that we are diving into something that might be new to us, right? Or putting ourselves in front of people, it is just stretching us past our comfort zone. See, the truth of the matter is we've all, over the years, we've developed a sense of self, a self-concept that's been forming since we were born. So when we start learning new skills and then we start sharing those ideas and those thoughts and those talents with the world, it stretches us past our previous ideas of ourself. It stretches us past our self-concept. Now, it's because this new person, this new thing that we're trying to do doesn't match up. This expert status or this authority doesn't really match up with what we previously believed about ourselves. There's a little bit of dissonance, a little disconnect that's happening between what we believe and what we're engaging in right now. It's simply our brain's way of trying to match up what we believed and what is right now. So just understand that is all that it is. That's all that imposter syndrome is. So number one is just to understand it. Number two, we have to try to revamp the negative self-talk by exploring the idea a little further with some reflective questioning. Okay, so let me say that again. Let's try to revamp the negative self-talk by exploring this idea a little further with some reflective questioning. For example, if we have a thought, so here's a negative thought: I am not good enough. And I have had this thought in my life many, many times. And here are a few questions I would ask myself, and this will snap me right out of it. What are my strengths? What are my strengths? And start writing down your strengths. You will be so surprised the things that you're actually really, really good at. Does your friends and family say, man, you are awesome at that? Do your clients say, wow, you're so good at that? Are you a person that's able to really just connect with people? Are you a fantastic artist? Are you a great communicator? What are your strengths? And who am I good enough for? Right? So if in my business, if someone that just started came to me, do I have something to share? All right. So next, here's another negative thought. They are going to discover that I am a phony. Do you ever think that? Now, here are a few questions. Here's some reflective questions you can ask to break through that thought. What did I do to be successful in my field? And write that down. Try to go back and think about the things that you did to become successful. And the more you think about it, the more you write it down, the more you realize you're probably not a phony. Now, the things that I did that were successful, who can that help? Or will that make a difference for a few people that might listen to me? The knowledge that I have, the things that I did to become successful, will that make a difference? Now, here's another negative self-talk, or a thought that is negative. I'm going to fail and everyone will know. Okay, so here's a few questions. If I fail, can I get back up again? Or what can I learn from my failures? And how can I help others with my failures? See, guys, it is normal to have negative thoughts. But it is beneficial that when we do have them, we have to get through them. We can't live in them. So to get through them, start asking yourself these reflective questions and writing it down. It's going to help you break past those negative thoughts. Now, number 3, believe in your worth by focusing on the facts. Earlier, we asked ourselves some questions. Now, to answer those questions, we had to write down some facts. So let's do what's called a success inventory. So you started a business and you probably didn't think you could. So you started one. Fact. Clients actually pay you real money for what you provide them. fact. You have probably worked with partners, employees, contractors, friends, and clients who believe in your worth and rave about you to others. If you have any testimonials or you have anything from anyone that says how good you are, there you go. You have some proof. That's a fact. You have excellent reviews and incredibly happy people that are out there. That's another fact. So you start, that is checking off lists of just things that you are successful at. And this success inventory can help you believe that you are worth it. All right. Number 4, focus on opportunities to do better instead of just perceived future failures. So focus on opportunities to do better instead of just thinking about or anticipating future failures. So our strive for perfection is a great asset. It's what makes us entrepreneurs. It's what makes us, to do what we do and work the hours that we work. But you know what? It can also be our greatest enemy at the same time. So we tend to think about all the things that can go wrong, but instead, let's think about all the opportunities of growth and what could possibly go right. Think about the growth that could happen, the people you can help, and how you are making a difference instead of the ways that you can fail. And start writing those things down. Okay, now number 5. When fear sets in, try engaging in thoughts of gratitude. Guys, this is something I have to do all the time. When fear sets in, try engaging in thoughts of gratitude. Just know that fear is common. It's very, very common. We all have it. I want you to acknowledge it. Know that it exists, but don't live in it. Counter it. When fear sets in, try to think about a few business-related things that you are actually grateful for. For example, I'm grateful for one of my last clients who invested nearly $20,000 in a pandemic year. So I have to think about that. When things are hard, I have to remember, wow, I had a client that invested 14, 20, 15, 16, 19, all back to back with me, reminding me that what I do is special. What I do is unique and one of a kind, and it's worth it for someone. So I remember those things, and I'm grateful for those things. I'm grateful for the hard lessons I learned when I was growing my business, which allows me to serve every single client better. I'm grateful for any negative reviews that I've had because I can look at it and I can say, how can I make sure that's never going to happen again? And I'm also grateful for all of those that have reached out to me for mentorship and the lives that were ultimately changed because of it. There was a point where I didn't know what I had to share with others, but as people started reaching out to me, those who were starting in their businesses, and I had the opportunity to mentor them, I started to understand that, hey, I do have something to share. So when fear sets in, this attitude of gratitude has a way of resetting my mind to the positive, and that's so, so important. Now, I'll tell you personally, despite all of the classes, all of the workshops and conferences that I've taught at, despite the hundreds of clients that I've served over the last 14 years in business, I still look around at all the other educators and business owners, and then I still have those moments where I just ask myself, should I even try? And then I have to quickly remind myself that my journey is my own. And how much I've accomplished over all the years, that is unique to my journey. I am a father of 2. I'm an entrepreneur and a business owner of multiple businesses. I mentor and I teach. And because of all of the things that I do, my journey and the way that I have done it is my own. And it's something that I have to constantly remind myself. Sometimes we do have to do a little mental reset and just acknowledge that we do have something to give to the world. And the more we do and the more we serve, the better the world will be because of it. So when you start having these negative thoughts of not being good enough, that you're not fooling anyone, that you're going to end up getting found out. First of all, just know it is called the imposter syndrome. That is something that exists. So, first, acknowledge what it is. Once we acknowledge it, and we know that it's there, just know that the reason it's there, it's not because you're not a confident person. It's just you have originally had a self-concept, and this is your brain's way of now trying to figure out, hey, who am I now? And it might take a little moment to do that. And just try to, in recap, once you understand what it is, try to revamp those negative thoughts by just exploring it a little further and asking yourself a few questions like, what are my strengths? What are the type of things I did to be successful in this business? And if I fail, what can I learn from those failures and how can I help somebody else? Right? So then start focusing on those facts. Believe in what you're worth and focus. What are the things that you have done really well? What clients have you served really well? And what are people actually saying about it? So once we do that, I know this is easier said than done, but practice it, because sometimes this negative talk, it becomes a habit, and it is hard to break these habits. So we have to practice really thinking in a different way. So think about the opportunities. If you were to step out, and if you were to step out as the expert and the authority, what good could come from it, right? So instead of thinking about the failures, start writing down all that could possibly come with it. And then if that fear ever sets in, guys, to wrap up, have an attitude of gratitude. Start being thankful about all that has happened, all the negative, all the positive, all the fact that you were even started a business. It's huge. So just know that it's normal. I go through it. Almost every entrepreneur that I know personally, they have gone through it at one point and the other. Start practicing these things, and I promise you, it will become this habit of negative self-talk will change, and you will start to see your confidence grow. You're going to start to see your swagger get a little better. You're going to start to see that you will step into that role of being the authority and the expert, and that fear will go away. So hopefully, guys, you were able to recognize what it is today, and hopefully I was able to give you a few tips to counter that imposter syndrome. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for a few minutes. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back with a lot more videos just like this to help you guys out in your business journey.